Yeah. I My wife and I get out of the car. Sarah and I get out of the car, and we walk toward the wedding venue. And the wedding venue is under construction. There's all that Tyvek stuff out on the front, and it doesn't. It's just incomplete. It's very incomplete. But I'm sure they got a good rate for it, and that's why they had the wedding there. But the thing that made it fancy was the fact that it was on the water. The wedding itself, the ceremony, would take place back behind the Tyvek under construction catering hall, and in the back there was a brand new patio made of uniform pavers that had a gazebo right next to the filthy, disgusting Rancocas Creek. So anything in the wedding industry, if it's by water, it usually costs double the price. Like if it's near water, you're gonna already in the wedding industry. It's in theory you're a one-time customer anyway, so they gouge you when they can. But if it's near the water, they gouge you double. So, but it was the day of my little sister's wedding, and I knew that this was probably the way that she was able to afford it. And we're running late because it's tough to go. It's very tough to go, and we get back out toward the back, and Sarah is holding my hand really hard because my heart's beating in my chest. It's quite difficult, and even though, we're very happy for my sister, she found Ray, and she and Ray are very much in love, and they're perfect for each other, and they very much are gonna, have their life together. And this is what my sister's been wanting for her entire life, even if she didn't know it, even if she didn't know that this is what she wanted, even if she thought that she knew there was a thing that she wanted. This was different than everything that she thought she knew she wanted, and now it was the day, and this was gonna be her day. And we go up and we sit in the seats that are assigned to us outside. And my mom is already a little weird. She's kind of loopy. She's my mother, Barbara. We call her the Duchess because she acts like a duchess all the time. She just waves to people. Every once in a while, she lets her vocal patterns get very clipped and tells everyone their business. And the Duchess is already kind of duchessing herself as the mother of the bride. She's very, very excited. And then the ceremony gets ready to start, and we all stand and we turn to the back, and here comes Ray, and he looks great in a tuxedo. It's the first time I've ever seen him in anything but a t-shirt, and he gets up to the front, and then there's my dad, and he's walking my sister down the aisle. Now, as he walks past me and my mother, we're right in rows near each other, and my sister's next to, my mother's husband is next to her, and my wife is next to me. As my dad and my sister walk past, it's the closest in proximity that the four of us have been together since my wedding, which was 7 years before this, which was also the first time we've been in this close proximity since my sister graduated high school, and that was in 1997. And when the time before that was 1995 when I graduated from high school, and the time before that, the last time that we were all actually together as a unit, as a family, the four of us together, was December 24th, 1991, and that was the last time. So in the 24 years from 1991 to 2015, the four of us just hadn't been in the same place. My parents had a very rough marriage, and they had 2 kids, and they had a house, and we lived in a little small town in South Jersey. It was about 2,500 people. It was all farms. It was a really good small town to grow up in. You think of New Jersey, you think of what you see on TV or the opening credits of The Sopranos, all those things in Newark and the refineries and Newark Airport and all that stuff and the Turnpike. That's all to fool you guys in the staying away from the beauty and bounty that actually is New Jersey. It's the greatest state in the union, and I'll fight you about that. I have no problem saying that or doing that. That's the truth. But so we grew up in a nice small town. My mom grew up in Delanco, New Jersey, and my dad grew up in Philadelphia. And they met after my dad came back from Vietnam in a bar in Jersey, and they met, and a little bit later they started dating, and a little bit later they got married, and a little bit later they had me, and then a little bit later they had my sister. neither of them had been able to fully, I guess, come to terms with what had happened in their childhoods. Both of them were children of alcoholics, and with the wisdom of years and the hindsight of trying to, really trying to go into, forensic time travel, like I realized that all my mother wanted more than anything else was to kind of have some money and have something. She grew up so poor, and she just wanted to have some money, and money was the most important thing, especially so other people could see it, because she was tired of growing up where everyone knew she didn't have any. My dad also grew up very poor in Philadelphia, but all he wanted, his family, it's not even, I can't even describe them. I'm one of the smaller men in my family. The rest of them, they're just voodoo giants. They're just big, gigantic, huge men. Half of them are dead. Everyone's an addict. It's absolutely insane. All my dad wanted was to be normal, or what he thought was normal, and to have a case of affluenza plus a case of disappearing, normalcy that didn't go well together. And it just didn't work, and their marriage blew apart in very spectacular fashion. And my sister ended up moving in with my dad, and I stayed with my mom. And in those formative years of our teenage years, my sister and I just lost touch with one another completely. And it was as if I didn't have a sister. I think we were all just trying to recover from the 17 years that they were married, and that the family was trying to stay together, or just because of inertia we're together. We were just trying to cope and heal from all that. Anyway, so many years had passed, and now my sister is married. And she has a husband, and afterwards all she wants more than anything else is a photo with her husband's family and her family. And so it's her wedding, we got to do what she's got to do, we got to agree to do it. So we go up there, and Ray's family is just all kind of making faces and joking with each other, and me and my mom and my dad and my sister are staring straight ahead like E.T. in that closet. They're just trying to make sure nobody understands, don't look too close, because you can see the cracks in between of what the reality that we're presenting is. It was very uncomfortable. In my peripheral vision, I could see my father. I haven't spoken to my father in years for many, many reasons. And my sister still does. And my dad and my mom don't talk at all. And my mom is close with my sister, and I'm close with my mom. There's all the permutations of the connections between these four people are all jittering, and it's like electricity and like broken lightsabers stabbing each other. It's just, you can feel it. It's tangible, and my stomach is just roiling like a basket of cobras. I just want to walk away because it makes me uncomfortable. We go in for the reception, and my mom has dropped a big extra check on shrimp. As far as my mom is concerned, as long as everyone gets as many shrimp as they want, this wedding is a success. There is nothing that will make this wedding more of a success than a pile of shrimp as big as a 4-year-old. There is so much peeled shrimp and bowls, crystal bowls of cocktail sauce, with stacks of plates. People are going up and they're look at all this shrimp, just handfuls of shrimp, more shrimp than anyone should ever eat, more shrimp that goes against any fishing laws. Sustainability took a dent because my mother wanted to write a check and make sure that my sister's wedding was a success. Everyone's eating the shrimp, everyone's happy. It was too much shrimp. It was just way too much shrimp. Everybody takes their shrimp back to their table. And my wife and I, Sarah and I, are at one table with my cousins, and my mom's sitting way back there with her sister and her friends, and my dad's way across the other room with his wife and her kids. And it's very absolutely purposeful that there are, and in between there are tables full of my sister's friends that my sister's friend Pam lets it slip that they're under instructions to form a human wall in case anything goes down. This is perfectly normal for my family. I'm glad my sister put these kinds of fail-safes in front of it. At my parents' wedding, they had a whiskey sour fountain, and my uncle and my mom, my dad's brother and my mom's sister's husband both got arrested, and it's just that was if it starts that way, what I mean? So, this is the right thing to do. And and I'm just kind of going through my sister's. She looks so beautiful, and she's got her wedding dresses cut in the back, so you can see her Philadelphia Phillies Liberty Bell tattoo on the back shoulder blade. And I take a picture with her. I lift up my pant leg, and you can see my Philadelphia Phillies Liberty Bell tattoo on there. Like, we both are very much enjoy being fans of a team that has lost more games than any team in professional athletics in all of history. There's a piece of pride when you're a fan of the first team in any sport to ever lose 10,000 games. It just feels right. It feels good. It means everything's all right in the universe. And she's having a great time, and her and Ray are kissing, and it's just beautiful. It's so great. And the shrimp gets low. My mom pulls out her checkbook, writes another check. They bring out more shrimp. It's so much shrimp. Everybody's going nuts. And my cousin says something smart ass, and I snap at her. And there's this anger that I feel that I thought I'd let go, but there's so much of it over the years, man. Like, there's so much between everybody in the family. I love my sister. I love her so much. She's my only sister, She's the only person that I know in the world that knows what it was like growing up in the house we grew up in. It's been really hard. I've been trying for as long as I can to be able to describe it to other people. A lot of times just like this, But really, when I'm trying to describe it to you, I'm trying to understand it myself. And it's been really difficult, And my sister's the only one that gets it. And she had a rough spot being the baby because shit rolls downhill. And whenever my dad would get angry, he'd lash out at me because I wasn't the man I was supposed to be at 7 years old. And then I would just lash out at my sister. And my mom, when she would get mad because there wasn't money or there wasn't something else, she would lash out at my sister because her medical bills maybe cost too much money. And then there was everybody lashed out at each other, and everything landed on my sister. She was the little baby. She was the runt. She was the one that took the brunt of everything. And I knew that all she wanted to do was to run away. And that's kind of what she did, to move in with my dad and then tried to live on her own, and she was bouncing all over the place. And for all these years, we had nothing to do with each other, and I feel shame about that. I felt so much shame over the years because there was a piece of my heart that was missing. She and I are the same. We're the same on a very biological level, and we have nothing in common with one another, even though we have everything in common with one another. And we're the same, but we just can't be around each other, But we're friends now, like when I got married, and my wife is very close with her family, and she made it a point. She was like, "Why don't you talk to your sister?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was ashamed to talk about all the times I lashed out at her, all the times I was shitty to her, all the times I wasn't a good brother, all the times where she knew that she'd be on her own because I wasn't there to get her back, and all those times where I felt alone because I needed some help and I knew that she wasn't able to help me, and there was too much of that in between us. My wife made it a point that my sister and I would get to know one another, and she would call my sister and invite her over, and then my sister would come over and my wife would leave the house, and then my sister and I would sit there and slowly but surely started building up little Legos to build up a relationship and start a foundation. And as time went on, we became friends and we became brother and sister again, and it means the world to me. But today, it's too much. It's too much, and I can't deal with all of it. And like I do at most occasions, I snuck off. I wasn't drinking at all because I needed to keep my wits about me. It was in case we needed to make a quick getaway. And I walked outside to go smoke a cigarette by the terrible, smelly creek. And I'm outside, and I'm looking at the water. I'm trying to wrap my head around the reality of our lives and where we are and what's happening, and that I've been in the same place with my dad for 5 hours at this point. We haven't even looked at each other, and that's normal to us. And I hear something very familiar. I hear crying, and it's a very specific cry. And I look over, and in the little scrim of woods over by the edge of the patio, I see a flash of white, and I go over there. It's my sister, and she's crying. And I go and I hug her and I hold her close, and she's having a hard time, and I say, "What's the matter?" And she says, "It's okay, it's okay." I was like, "No, you can tell me it's okay, and I'm just holding her, And she says, "They won't let me go to the jug." Now, the jug handle inn in It's in Maple Shade, New Jersey. It's the greatest dive bar in New Jersey, which means it's in the top rankings of the greatest dive bars in the world. It's got 3 levels and 4 patios and outdoor areas. There's chickens that are running around. They make the greatest wings you ever saw. They have this menu that's like the size of a phone book. Anything you've ever wanted, they have it. Better than anywhere else you could get it. There's always a good cover band. The bartenders are always your friends. Over the years, when I would come home and visit, I'd see my sister. We would meet at the Jug, and we would go down in the basement. And at some point during the night, the bartender would give us a piece of chalk, and we would put a little tick mark to our names where we signed up on the rafters in the basement bar of the Jug. And it's the greatest place in the world. But my sister always had this dream that on her wedding day, after the reception, she would go to the Jug in her wedding dress and like be celebrated. And I'm like, what do you mean? Why? Let's go to the Jug. And like, they won't let me. Ray says it's trashy, and Dad says it's low class, and Mom won't let me go. And I just hold her tighter. I was like, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. It pissed me off because, like, how dare you tell you that are trying to pretend that you're something that you're not, and you that are trying to be something that doesn't exist, you that is doing you that, how are you going to tell somebody else that they can't do something? You know what I mean? Especially, how is your husband going to tell you, forbid you to go someplace you want to go? That's not the way to start a goddamn thing. So the night goes on, and it's time to go. And as we all leave, I go out to the limousine. The limousine's taking my sister and her friends back to the hotel where they all got dressed because they were parked over there. And I go up to the limo driver, and I slip him a piece of paper. I say, I want you to go to this address. And I give him $20. And he goes, I'm supposed to go there? I was like, go here. I gave him another 20. He goes, okay. And then me and my wife, Sarah, get in the car, and we drive over to the Jug. And then I go inside, and I say, Michelle's coming. Michelle's coming. There's too many people there. There's hundreds of people. They don't know who Michelle is. There's lots of Michelles down there. There's lots of people that thought they were having a boy named Michael, and then Michelle came out. You know what I mean? It's the people in South Jersey aren't very imaginative. They couldn't think of a different name. So there's lots of Michelles. But there's drunk people, and it's a Saturday, so they come outside just in time to see a limousine pull up, and a bunch of drunk idiots and a bride get out of a limousine at the Jug. Everybody goes batshit crazy. They start cheering. They're going, Michelle, Michelle, is that Michelle? Michelle, Michelle. Michelle and Ray walk through this column of people into the bar. They go downstairs to the basement. They go out to the back patio. People move and give them a seat. People go in and start bringing them pitchers of beer. Everyone's cheering. They're chanting, Michelle, Michelle. She's got a smile on her face that I've never seen in my life. It's the most beautiful thing. A guy shows up dressed as a banana. He walks back to the back deck there thinking he's the star of the show. He bows down to my sister because my sister, the bride of the Jug, has just outshined a guy who chose to dress as a banana on a Saturday night. This is a victory. And I'm standing there and I'm talking to these 2 girls, and they're like, I can't believe she came to the Jug after her wedding. That's so cool. I want to do the same thing. I wish I could be that cool. This is great. We're going to go to the Jug. And they shake hands, and everyone's happy. And my sister's having the greatest night of her life. And at the end of it, I go over to the bar. It's time to go. We got to wrap things up. And I get 3 shots of whiskey, and I bring them over, and I give one to Ray, and I give one to my sister, and I take one to myself, and I just cheers, and we throw down that whiskey. My sister is not very good with whiskey. Not very good at all with whiskey. She makes a face and a noise, which I always think you should do when you drink whiskey because it feels good. You know what I mean? You just make a face and a noise. Don't pretend that things don't hurt you. That's how you end up dying inside. So me and my wife Sarah, everybody else got Ubers to go back to the hotel to get their cars. Me and my wife Sarah get Ray and Michelle, the newlyweds, and put them in the back of our rental car, and we drive over to the hotel, and we pull up to the front of the hotel, and we get out, and Ray stumbles out of the back seat. My sister gets out, and she looks at me for a second, and she goes, and she walks behind a column in the hotel parking lot, and she furiously vomits all over the parking lot. all over the parking lot. And my wife looks at me, and she's like, all right, if she knows what she's in, you know. And then my sister comes around and she lights a cigarette and she spits on the ground. This is my sister. We are blood. There is, you know, like they say the blood is thicker than water, and that is true. And most of the time, the thing about blood is it doesn't necessarily hold you together, but the thing I realize is that blood stays with you. It stays with you. You get a blood stain, it's on your shirt forever. You know what I mean? That blood on your hands, it stays with you. But all that blood, all those times, all those cuts, all those scars, all that stuff makes you who you are, and it makes your relationship richer for it, right? And she is so happy. She gives me a hug and she says, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I know that she doesn't know it yet, but what she's able to do right now, what she did today, is she left behind the fractured, broken idea of the not family that we did have growing up, and she started one on her own. When I got married to my wife Sarah, I realized that like she was my family now. It was her and I against the world, and that was enough, and that was beautiful. And now it's Ray and Michelle, and Ray and Michelle are gonna walk off. And then that's what they do. They hold hands and they walk into the corridor of the hotel. I'm sure stinking, like whiskey and vomit. But they walk off hand in hand, a little bit unsteady, directly into their future. And it makes me so happy inside. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.